I wanted the biggest collection of Chaos Space Marines in the world. Yeah, that's right, these things, miniatures. Once, and still referred to as toy soldiers. Those of a Warhammer 40,000 kind, a brand becoming ever more increasingly popular. It has taken me 17 years to amass this insane amount of miniatures. The indescribable feeling of looking at rows upon rows of miniature infantry lined up in various legions and color schemes is beyond enjoyable for me. But there's a problem. I could buy a house with the amount of money I've spent on these things, right? So how dare I show this off and be proud of it? I should feel ashamed. No, I refuse. I reject the idea of allowing myself to feel shame for collecting Warhammer miniatures. The mere act of collecting things, whether they be Citadel Miniatures, Transformers, dolls, trading cards, shoes, movies, cars, houses, or Christmas ornaments, is something our species has been doing for a very long time. My aim is to present an alternative perspective to the very easily misjudged practice and hobby of collecting miniatures. After all, every tabletop gamer and miniature painter is by default a collector of miniatures. Not too long ago, I was at home. It's December in Welland, Ontario, Canada. I woke up to the sound of splashing slush as cars drove by outside. I could hear Christmas music playing downstairs, which meant people were up, which meant there was food. I could already smell the bacon and eggs and toast, so I throw on my pajamas, put on my robe, and make my way downstairs. As I entered the foyer, I saw a display of well-curated Christmas decorations on the sideboard. This is the first thing a person would see if they walked in. I turned to my right and noticed small statues on the key drawer. But wait, the doors to the living room are closed. They're never closed. Why were they closed? My curiosity got the better of me, and I had to investigate further. So I open the doors and find I've just entered a magical Christmas wonderland. Lit garland is hung over the fireplace and over the windows. More seasonal figurines are placed atop a sentimental cabinet that houses the precious china, which are priceless generational heirlooms. Framed letters spell holiday cheer in the built-in shelves across the dining room table. But the crown jewel of this scene, which was right out of a Hallmark movie, was the Christmas tree. Each and every ornament was unique. Each one had a story to tell. Everything from school crafting projects made by the kids to souvenirs from family vacations. However, it wasn't until I saw the gingerbread man with limbs that have been saved by the same superglue that fixed my Lord Davicus that something dawned on me. This was Farah's Warhammer. That's right, my wife Farah, every single ornament was intentionally placed on this tree. The boxes used to store them, the interior of each is lined with a soft, silky material stretched over foam padding to protect it. A simple cardboard box would do, right? Wrong. If I was traveling somewhere and I needed to transport some miniatures, would I just use a cheap cardboard box? There are some levels of blasphemous behavior I'd happily find myself experiencing. This was not one of those circumstances. A carry case, in the very least, would be used as it protects and keeps the minis safe. The hard work and effort that goes into painting each model needs to be met with the same level of care and consideration when transporting them. It just makes sense. So why would an ornament with sentimental value be any different? I used to think, why do we get these Libyan ornaments? They're like $40 each. Ouch, that's just painful. Getting a pack of 30 for 30 bucks is way better, much more practical. But we're not exactly doing something practical here, are we? So when I say these ornaments are Farah's Warhammer, it's because for her, it's not about the cost. Some ornaments on the tree were as much as $80, and others were free. Yeah, but it's just glass and plastic. $80 for some? What a complete ripoff! Who in their right mind would trade money for one of these? Oh, I know the kind of person who would do that. The kind of person who has 10 of the same miniature, who's got 10 Karn the Betrayers, and 10 Abaddons the Despoiler. The kind of person who's got rows upon rows of Demonettes, Plague Bearers, Zangors, and Bloodletters, who's got rhinos for World Eaters, rhinos for Emperor's Children, rhinos for Death Guard, and rhinos for Thousand Sons. Not to mention the rhinos for Black Legion, Word Bearers, and Alpha Legion 2. We're describing the kind of person who not just for 1 month of the year, but for all days of the year has on display all his Command HQ in front of him as he sits at his desk while he plays and calls it work. A man who is so obsessed and addicted to plastic crack, he not only has this entire collection of Heretic Astartes Chaos Space Marines, but also has a Death Corps of Krieg, a Blood Angels, and Space Wolves Army collection. That's also not mentioning the joint studio armies he shares with his business partner, such as this entire collection of Adeptus Astartes, also known as Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines. The potential of the depth of shame for collecting miniatures could run pretty deep here, folks. But I refuse that offer. I reject the demonization of it. The notion of it being a bad thing? Hard disagree. Granted, there are always outliers, and any obsession can become destructive or unhealthy. But when we're talking about collecting things in general, I hate to break it to you, but we've been doing it since the dawn of time. Fun fact, the urge to collect can be found in over 70 species in the animal kingdom, including crows, rats, and magpies. The only difference between collecting ornaments or miniatures is the language we use. The moment we meet someone else who collects what we do, we could talk for hours about all the things. We have our own language. We find our people. Just as each ornament represents a cherished memory, a miniature can represent a fun experience with a friend, a gesture of gratitude accepted with honor and humility, a talisman to ignite a fire to become something more, something better than our previous version of ourselves. So if you're a collector like me, and you spend your downtime, decompression time, or escape time with these little guys, know this, you are in good company. There are many more of us out here than you may realize. Embrace this fact. Don't hide it. Don't listen to that inner voice that's saying, why would you waste your time with such childish things? Can't you do something more productive? To that I say, you can spend money on therapy or on miniatures, but in the end, it's kind of the same thing. I'm Mini Wargamer Dave, and I collect miniatures.